Brilliant. I need to share my screen. Let's do this. All right. Just a quick note, carrying on from last time when we were discussing the Vagrant boxes that we're using for testing. I was able to prepare some pre-salted boxes instead. So what that means now is our testing is a bit quicker now, a bit more efficient. So we've got boxes for all the free BSDs that are available currently. Free BSD 13 has also been released. So I'm chasing up something with that box as well, because it needs to be provided by the main provider first. And yeah, this is speeding things up. And I think David's got some news for us about another side of this.
Well, you can, I mean, it's very basic news in the fact that I've been working for a couple of weeks on a Windows 10 Vagrant box.
Nice.
Pre-salted.
Is it here in Vagrant Cloud? Is this where it's available?
Yeah.
Well, what's it under?
TECHNEG, yes.
Right. Okay, excellent. So it's this one over here, yeah?
Yeah, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's not ready for prime time yet, nobody's used it. It's really just I guess you could say a beta, just to make sure that everything's in the right place and whatnot.
Right.
But it is there for use.
Well, the good thing is because I've got that all set up in the SSF formula now, I can just start trying those out effectively, and see how they go. Have you which formulas have you tried them with so far?
None.
None.
No.
Maybe I could set something up in the background right now while we're speaking. But yeah, excellent. We can try and roll that out anyway, which is good news. And yeah, that's all the Vagrant side of things for now. Daniel, are you available?
He sent a map. Oh,
yes, I'm here now.
Oh, excellent. You're there now. Should we try and get this PR dealt with, the cert formula PR that's been sitting there for a while?
Yes, but I don't see your screen now.
You don't see my screen?
Yeah.
Does anyone else?
Yeah, I do.
You do. But I was going to suggest maybe we can share your screen and do it from that way, so we can just finalize any issues that there are in this PR.
Okay.
Wait. Or is that difficult from your side?
No, it shouldn't.
You're a little bit quiet. Can you increase your microphone volume a bit?
Yeah. Here is better.
Oh yeah, nice and clear now.
Okay. Share screen.
Do I need to stop first? I think. I'll stop anyway. Yes. Yeah, I've stopped. So
great. Complete screen. Authorize. Do you see it?
We see something. It's quite interesting what we see. What's going on there? I've never seen that before.
Okay.
Maybe it's
because I'm using Firefox and sharing from Firefox, because I have no sound with Chromium.
Okay, shall I just share my screen and we do it that way?
Okay.
All right, let's do that.
Stop my share.
Yeah, let's do it that way. Right, can you see my screen again?
No.
No.
I can.
I think I have a problem personally.
Oh no.
Well, look, I will try again to join again.
Yep.
And you can pick another subject for now.
All right. Okay, see you in a minute. Right, so I think the next subject is in the template formula. Noel, I don't know if anyone noticed in Slack, but Noel was discussing the PR about archives support. So if I can pull that open. In fact, I think the PR's got a bit messy right now because he's had to kind of keep remerging it in with master. And what's happened is pretty difficult to follow. But the idea, I think, is the same throughout. I mean, a lot of the formulas, he's already deployed this. But the idea is, instead of just having package support, where we just install from packages across our formulas, we really should offer installing from archive as well, archive packages as well. So personally, like I said in Slack, I said I think that's absolutely fine. What were the main points that were raised in Slack? I'm just trying to remember. Let's see if I can pull it out. Logbox.
I do have a comment on that. I haven't really been active the last week on Slack or anything.
Yeah.
Noel is basically saying that the template folder is sort of limited at the moment to Linux system packages.
Right.
But that's not entirely true, because we're using the PKG state module, and the PKG state module kind of adapts itself to different OSs. So it's not limited to Linux system packages at all. I mean, I would use those same states on Windows, for example.
On Windows, yeah. How about Mac OS?
But I do agree that it doesn't extend at the moment to something like you installing from an archive or installing from source. So, I mean, I would kind of agree with Javier's approach, where we would have a different set of states within the PKG directory, and then some kind of switch within the config of the formula.
Not yet. That's multiple. So I'm just checking, because, like you said, it does work on Windows. It works on.
That's just that message is just pointing to that
multiple packages.
That
yeah.
flag, multiple packages, right?
But it does work on the BSDs as well, and it works on Mac OS. I think it's got support everywhere, really. I think.
I mean, there's a list. If you look at the module PKG, I think there's a list of the ones which it actually applies to.
Yeah. But I don't think it's actually, you know what? That's not the right way to do this, because it's not like. Let's try that. And
there. Click on that.
Yeah, and then it gives it.
All of these are supported.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much everything, isn't it? That we know of. Yeah.
But I mean, that's not to. I understand where he's coming from, because we are limited to kind of packages in whatever form they come, rather than installing from source.
Yeah. I think the main point he's coming from was the CNCF side of things, and what he's suggesting is a lot of that uses, because of to get support across multiple platforms with the latest packages. He says that's not very well done from the normal Linux packaging. Like, a lot of the platforms have very old packages available. So by providing archive support, what you're doing is you're allowing the latest packages to be installed on all platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's just said it right there. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at the comment I've just highlighted, but he's saying it right there. So the discussion is, we really should have it as part of the template formula. The only thing I was bringing forward was in the past, when we've discussed it, adding more things to the template formula, we've found that it's getting very, very, the template formula is stuffed with lots and lots of bits of functionality. And is it getting too difficult for end users to take advantage of the template, where it just does too much? But I think adding an archive to this wouldn't be too much. And as long as we're agreeing with that general idea, then I think we should really try and help put that into the template formula.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll have here is the folder for archive. And like you said, and like Javier said, we have some sort of switch, which I think what I've seen from Noel's other work, he already has that. So you have a switch in the pillar or in the config, where you say you want to install from archive instead of from the packages. And I think that's simple enough. Yeah, and we don't seem to have a problem with that then?
Not particularly, no.
Right. But the PR, like I said, is, I think, unfortunately, because it's been around for a while, and he's had to remerge it into master. It's just looking a little bit more than what he's actually proposing. So when I've looked at it previously, it was a lot simpler than what it looks like right now. So it's just going to need some tidying up, I think. I've obviously got, we've spoken about this briefly before, but about the way we use Ginger in the actual state files. And I'm a bit particular about how we do it, because the idea is to keep it, how can we say, to make it easy for everyone to use. Like, so when for example, the Ginger isn't indented at the same level as the states, it starts messing up when you want to, what is it called in the editor, when you want to fold? Yeah, folding and stuff. It really starts affecting the folding and stuff. So the idea is, if I'm proposing that I'm going to say, let's just get this reshaped in terms of the Ginger matching up with the states itself, just to make it a bit cleaner. I mean, I think the three of us, when I've dealt with each other, I think we do the same thing with the Ginger generally, where we've got it at the same sort of level as the states. So if I ask for that to be done here, that's the right sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah, I'm all for consistency, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not particularly keen, just noticing right here, of having quite complex logic areas where you've got, it could be one state or another, like this. I'm just not a big fan of much Ginger in state files anymore, like as in minimal conditional Ginger, just to keep things simple. So perhaps a suggestion over here as well to, if possible, to lose some of this Ginger in this, because it makes it really difficult to follow what exactly is going on. But otherwise, like I said, I guess I'll just give some feedback on this PR, and anyone else can join in as well, of course. And let's try and get this pushed into the template formula as soon as possible, so that we don't keep harassing Noel every time we update the template formula, that he has to, merge the changes back in again. Yeah?
Yeah, but I mean, just as an aside, I think what he's done, he's merged changes in rather than rebased.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that would be another suggestion, is to have it rebased instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would make it a lot easier to follow what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. And I think, like I said, we should really help push that in. Daniel, did he come back in?
He is, but he does have some issues, I think. No, he's not there now.
He's not there again?
No.
Okay. So the other one, while we're waiting, was this proposal, which I haven't had much chance to look at all, but it's to use Hlang to try to give some structure to our use of YAML throughout our formulas. And I'm not sure if this is up and running just yet. Oh, he's put something there, so I've not seen this. Let's have a look at what's happening in. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, yes, I did. I want to see what's happening in GitLab when this is actually being run and what it actually produces in terms of output. Any familiarity with Hlang?
Nothing at all.
I've come across it. I have not really got involved with it at all. But where's the? Can't see it. Can't see it from there. Let's see where the GitLab run is and what it's actually doing. Oh, it's failed. Let's have a quick look. Oh, cannot find package C.
I had a look through this PR a few minutes ago, and he is basically asking you to add Q to one of the
I spoke to
images.
Yeah, no, I spoke to him separately, and I mentioned that I saw that this Docker container is available,
right,
and that he could try things out with that. And I think this is what he's been doing. He's been trying something out where it goes through all the YAML files and it just checks it for certain rules and things. But where's the actual main? So this is the main sort of the sort of schema that he's saying, that the idea is all formulas will be checked for this consistent structure. So if you can sort of follow it through, you can see that they'll have the package and the name will always be under package, rather than, some formulas might have package underscore name or something, but the idea would be to try to get it to always be package, dot name instead. Things like root group and let's see the various sections for config, service, subcomponent, and what they should be structured as, what types of data types they should contain underneath them. And it looks interesting. I do think that's an interesting idea across the whole formulas organization, is that what we have got is a common, consistent YAML structure so that you can use it everywhere effectively. But we need to get this up and running somehow to see if it really is going to make a difference. I was thinking maybe should we have tried it with a different formula first rather than the template?
That's how we usually go about things, isn't it?
Yeah, because it just makes it a bit, yeah.
To see a concrete example.
Yeah, more than that, it gives us a chance to iron out any problems with the implementation. Because sometimes you find, you do it in a few formulas and they're similar, and then you get the exception. So, for example, with the map ginger changes, myself and Daniel, we kept looking for formulas where there were exceptions, like, for example, multiple imports in map ginger. And so when you apply it in those situations, you get a clearer picture of what you're actually proposing. So when you do bring it into the template formula, you've covered all those possibilities. So perhaps, again, with this, we might need to do this with another formula first, roll it out, make sure it's working, and then ask, to bring it back into the template formula afterwards. But this will have to be checked. I'll see if I can get a chance to get involved and figure out what's going on here in the CI.
Daniel's back in.
All right.
The room, by the way.
Are you able to talk, Daniel? I mean, I guess I could just keep it on my screen and we can go from there.
Yes, I can talk, but I have no screen. I don't know what's the problem.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So if you want to just anything you want to highlight and we can get on with this. The main issue here has only been the without context, which we need to, just need to make a final decision about. I think you've discussed it here further down, haven't you?
Yeah. Well,
to
here. Me, there is no much difference between with and without context, except the fact that you can import the map ginger of another formula from anywhere when you use without context.
So can you give us a use case, just so we're all clear on what that actually means? Where would you want to import another map ginger?
The first use case is in the third formula.
Right, itself, yeah.
Yeah, because for the testing, it does a setup in the test.
Okay.
So it copies some states and pillars at the root of the salt installation.
Okay, so here's the pillars and states. Yep.
Yeah. And you can, oh yes, I can't do that from one computer to another. So the setup in third formula, test, salt, states, you have a setup certs to remove. And this one is importing the cert map ginger.
Right.
But that SLS is copied at the root of the salt file roots.
Right.
It's not in the third formula. So when you use with context, the load of map ginger can't work because the TPL root is not resolved correctly.
Which is probably why he's got the cert here rather than using tuple root. Yeah.
So to avoid that error, in my pull request insert formula number
37.
37,
yep.
Yeah. So I did a commit just to force the without context everywhere, and it's working as expected. Right. So that's the first use case. Another use case is when some people in the Apache formula
Which I've got here, yeah.
Yeah, the Apache formula, the person wanted to do its own formula or states using the Apache map Jinja to hook in it, but it was not possible to load the Apache formula from somewhere else. Again, because you don't have the proper TPL root resolution from outside Apache formula. So you can't load, for example, the default SLS, the default YAML, OS Arch YAML of the Apache from the Apache map Jinja.
Yeah.
So to me, using the without context has only one side effect. It's just that the TPL file is not the same.
And we don't use that anyway. Not that I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, we use it to resolve the TPL root. And to build TPL root, we use TPL file.
We use tuple-dir. We use the dir, not the file.
Oh yes, tuple-dir. But tuple-dir comes from tuple file, actually.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's have a look in the code. I'm pretty sure it comes from
You can look at the environment in the template formula pull request 230.
Yeah.
I did a diff of the context, of the complete context in the log file. My last comment.
What was the number? 230?
230.
Okay. And what are we looking for here?
My comments 4 days ago.
Yep, got that.
I see only two differences between with context and without context.
Yeah.
Okay. And you have the log. Can you expand the log?
Yeah, the top one. Yeah.
And at the end, so the log is just get the Jinja, I don't remember the function, but you have a show all context or something like that, show full context. And I'm just dumping the show full context content in two different files, with and without context. And the only difference is the tuple file. Actually, the tuple-dir comes from tuple file.
This is what I'm not sure about, because when I remember digging around in the code, I believe it's the other way around. Let's just have a look. I am pretty convinced of this because when I did the PR for tuple root, it was based upon tuple-dir. So if we look here, for example, let's have a look. So that's calculated first, and then the rest of the data, see, that is separate, but it's not coming. I mean, everything else is based upon tuple-dir. So tuple-dot is from tuple-dir as well. And there was another example somewhere. So what I'm saying is it might be separate, but I don't think anything else relies on tuple file. Not that I've seen. I mean, it might be out there somewhere. Let's have a look again carefully. Yeah, see, it's only being set, but it's not being used anywhere else in this file. And I can't remember it being used anywhere else when I did look. So I don't think it's a problem. That's what I'm suggesting. I'm saying if all the differences is tuple file, which I've not seen used in the formulas, and I don't think anywhere else it's used as a main reference point, then I don't think we have a problem.
Yeah, I don't have diff with tuple-dir because I'm doing my test with two execution from the same directory, from the same formula directory. But if it was two different directories, the tuple-dir would be different, I think. Importing mapjinja from /foo and mapjinja, foo mapjinja from /foo and foo mapjinja from /bar, I think the tuple-dir is different.
Yes, this is what I believe when I had when I set the tuple root PR, I did suggest that is when you have subdirectories, then you do get a difference. So it will be not this exact formula, but this one over here. is I did this based on subdirectories, and what you have is, where is it? Tuple, where's the tuple dir? There it is there. Is that can end up being different without context, it'll only refer to template, whereas with context, it will be with the package as well.
Yes.
So tuple file is definitely different, but so was tuple dir.
Well, tuple dir is the directory where the imported file comes from.
Yeah, yeah.
Without context, it all reference to the imported file.
Okay.
And with context, everything is reference from the importer file.
Right, right. What does it do to, is there any other things that are being passed? Obviously, there's some sort of context. Is there any other, what else is in the context itself? I think, like you said, you've broken it down here, I think. Where was it? I've lost the tab we was just on. The one where you exported the context in each and you gave the log. Was that?
Yeah, you have the context, but it's all in one line. Very, very.
What I'm asking is, what else is contained in the context itself? Is there anything else there that we're missing that we might lose if we go to without context?
Oh, yes. The only difference, right, is the tuple file tuple dir difference.
Yep.
And every variable you declare in the SLS,
yep,
with context, those variables are exposed,
yes,
to the imported file.
Yes, yep.
Which is not the case without context.
Now, is that a problem in any places? Because right now my brain can't figure out if we do use that anywhere. Do the variables matter between, I mean, it's only between the SLS files and the file templates, right? That's the main place.
The best practice is to pass use variable with the context option of the file managed.
File managed, yeah. I did find, I can't remember it right now, but I did find there was a problem with that. And I'll have to dig it out somewhere again where I found that. I should have really logged it down at the time. But one time I did find when I was trying to pass by context from file managed, it wasn't doing something quite right. I can't remember. It was when remember we had a problem with salt SSH and we started changing some of the formulas to do exactly what you've said, passing by context. I found a problem and it's useless right now because I haven't captured it. But anyway, but like you said, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually the main issue, the actual discussion is about not passing context is by importing files.
Yes, yeah.
And the only actual file using the context is libteofs.
Okay.
We can't, but it's not in the target of that pull request now, because libteofs use the caller context. So
what will happen with that if we go to without context here? Obviously, this formula can't be using it. What will happen if we introduce it into this formula?
Well, actually, as we restrict the without context to map Jinja and its libraries, actually, I found no issue.
Even with the TOFS library as well, yeah?
Yeah. It's using libteofs, and there is no issue because the without context is limited to the map Jinja import.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's quite heavy stuff and not the clearest to understand. I think it's maybe not easy to follow, but yeah. Essentially what we're saying here is for this PR at least, and maybe for other formulas, we're going to start looking at using without context instead of with to get the benefits that Daniel's just mentioned. And otherwise here, the other thing is you've changed the import from map to map data as well. So there's two things going on here in this PR, right?
No. It's only one thing.
No, meaning
for the cert formula,
yes,
or the
yes.
template?
No, I'm talking about the cert formula.
Oh, yes, the cert formula. Yes, it's I try to. Yes, cert formula. It's an update to V5 map Jinja. So It's converting everything to
from map to map data to the standard map data, what we're using, yeah. But otherwise, everything else. I mean, if I'm just looking down here, that's obviously standard.
It's only a v5 map jinja plus the without context for the test to be successful.
Right. Okay. So I see no issues here. I think we should move forward with this now because it's been sitting around for a while, and that way we can start actually rolling out this without context and seeing, making sure that everything's working as expected. So all of these are fine. If you need, right, yep, that's fine. And the rest of these are the test files, so I'm good with those. David, any comments on the without context issue?
No, it's over my head, to be honest.
It's just, yeah. I mean, we don't have time.
I know vaguely what it's about, but the details, no.
What would really be interesting is to find out what the original intention was. I mean, I went through the documentation, and this has been suggested. The with context has been suggested from all the way at the beginning of the use of SaltStack that I can see, right near the beginning. We talked about 6 years back, and it'd be great to hear, what the rationale was for doing that. But what I think Daniel suggested to me in a conversation we were having is perhaps the Ginger library itself was different then, and it handled it very differently. Whereas they look like they've narrowed that gap, so that with and without context does it's not very much difference anymore in the main sense of things.
Yes, that's the comment I had from the main Salt channel.
Oh, someone, that's it.
Yeah. Someone pointed to that changelog in the Jinja library itself, where everything gets nearly the same between with and without context. It's only depends on how the user of the library is defining the default. And just passing, I will call them dynamic variables. In our setup in SaltStack, it means that the variable you define in SLS before the import are passed or not. That's only the difference.
Right. Well, I've gone ahead and merged that, so that's good news. We can move forward with that. Now, what's going to be interesting is because this has got slightly different files to the usual version 5 map Ginger, is when we come around to the SSF formula to manage these files, we're going to have to we're going to have to deal with this where there's a with or without context issue. It's not a major thing. It's just that it won't be a straightforward, just use the same files everywhere. We'll have to look at this with and without context issue from the SSF side when I get around to that finally. But that's good.
Yeah,
I think
I tried to look at how to dispatch the v5 map Jinja and to modify the SSF formula for that, but I must confess that I was a little bit confused.
It's very meta. That formula is very meta, and I don't expect anyone. And David struggled. Not struggled with it. Sorry, David's done really well. I think he's running it for himself now, as well.
Well, no. I mean, I've attempted it.
Well,
I think the biggest thing is you have to use it a lot. And now I did make a push to learn it better about a month ago, and now I've forgotten it all. So it is something you have to be very familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I wasn't really intending that it was going to be easy to use for anyone else. I mean, not that I made it only for myself, but I'm saying is I just wanted to get something out there first and see the situation, what it's like. But a question actually, I asked this, I think a couple of weeks ago, and I'd love to know the answer for this as well, is what's the issue? I mean, I think Daniel gave me some answers. What's the issue with using the Python renderer instead, rather than the normal sort of Ginger YAML for our SLS files I'm talking about?
Oh yes, think
I
I have put something in the taiga. I didn't manage to find where I put my comment about the problems with the Pi renderer and the modules.
Yeah.
And I think it's in a comment in the taiga, and
Okay.
I lost my code, so I need to.
Yeah, I'm going to try and search for it here myself. I haven't used it for a little while. Whoops.
So
Yeah.
when you say what's the issue, what is the issue? I don't know.
Yeah, Daniel had some interesting feedback about that. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
the problem with the Pi renderer for the map Jinja was, oh, I'm connected, so maybe I can. Where is it?
Where's my? I don't know how to search this anymore. I forgot how to search.
Yeah.
They've changed the interface here. I don't know how to search anymore. Yeah, go on. Oh, here we go. You said you added a
I will search. Yes, I will search somewhere, and I will point a link on.
Here. Okay, here we go. I might have found it. It says the version for Map Ginger. We might have it here.
Can you put it in the chat, because I don't see your screen.
Oh, you don't see my screen at the moment?
No.
Oh, right. Okay, so he's doing all of that without seeing my screen. Okay, just give me 1 second. If I can just find it first. I don't think I've even found it. Oh, no. What it is, I need to look at these, don't I? So let's just...
From Epix, I think. Evolve and deploy Map Ginger.
If you just use the search on the left and just type Python, I think you might find it. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're getting there. Yep, I think this might be the one you talk. It's task 87. If you just put the end of your URL at the top, task 87, task/87, you should get it.
Task 87, yes.
And I think at the bottom you was discussing it there.
Yes, definitely. Yes. The problem was with salt SSH again.
So that's the big reason why we can't use it.
Yeah. Oh, but actually, I think we will have an issue, because I tested the V5 map Jinja on my production at work. It was working correctly, and I made a test with 3003, and I have issues with template not found errors for exactly the same formula.
You mean salt SSH again, yeah?
Yeah. So there is difference between 3002 dot, I don't remember,
6
and 3003.
Yeah, there is. I mean, I think I found something with one of my minions as well. But the issue was the version of Python available on the minion wasn't high enough. Anyone know what version of Python 3003 relies upon? Let's see.
Well, they're only up to 3.8, I think.
Yeah, I think I had a pretty old. I had an old.
3.8.
I had an old a minion which is on an older distro, and it didn't have the version of Python necessary. So when salt SSH is trying to run, obviously some of the features that are there aren't available. Where's the right? This one over here should tell us. Why is it not telling us? It normally tells us on the left, unless I'm doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong?
Maybe it's just not specified.
No, not specified. Usually it tells us on the left. Yeah, but I think it was the version of Python. I mean, do you know which version of Python you had in your minion, Daniel? Lost Daniel again? Let's see. I think I saw someone mentioning something about it as well. There was an issue. Okay, so this is a slightly separate issue in the sense that salt SSH isn't working. But in terms of, well, I think we lost Daniel, haven't we? Is he gone?
Well, he's in the list, but with no sound.
With no sound. So just going back to this, what the question I had is, I mean, ultimately this is doing so much ginger, it's ridiculous. And there's obviously the Python renderer available as well.
Yeah.
And why can't that be used instead? Or why don't we ever use that? I don't see it used anywhere.
I think just because it's complicated. It wouldn't. It's it's a level up in complexity. I would say people aren't familiar with it.
People are, yeah.
But I don't know if I think I saw Daniel mention this in Slack. Is that I think MapStack would work as a salt extension. This new idea.
Yeah, and that would be really interesting because obviously it would be a lot easier to use or to deploy if it's available as one of these new salt as salt extension now instead. But then that goes on to why can't formulas be used as salt extensions? I haven't looked enough into it, but I'm just asking the question. Couldn't we package up formulas as salt extensions?
You certainly can.
You can. Do you know if that's actually built in then? As in not built in, but meaning.
I mean, formulas are states. As far as I know, that's not the idea behind it.
It's not the idea behind it at all. Yeah, it's not that. But I was just wondering whether it could be done. So
it could be done. It's not the idea. You're correct, but it could be done.
Has anyone tried anything out at all with that? Do you know if anyone's had a go at that?
Specifically for states, I don't. I could ask if Pedro has, since he has the most experience with it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to hear that because I think that would be an interesting way to go down because we've been discussing how can we deploy these formulas in a better way. And there was ideas behind using SPM, which has not really been used that much, and maybe making a front end for that. But if Salt Extensions is there now and it's ready out of the box, it'd be really interesting to see could we develop it in that way instead, or at least offer that, for some ideas. But yeah, the Salt Extensions would be definite as a something to consider. But I was just saying the Python renderer itself, because especially the SSF formula, it's just such a mess.
Well, yeah, it is basically code, isn't it?
It's just code. I was thinking to myself, I just need to rewrite this in Python and stop messing around with this. Although, to be fair, I'm not actually changing very much of this anymore. It's working. So why should I change it if it's working?
Mm-hmm.
So I probably won't do it anytime soon. But then it just set me thinking, why aren't we using the Python renderer anywhere? Is there a problem with it?
Yeah. What are you talking about doing it in? You're talking about SSF.
Yeah, I was just talking about how this is sort of the train of thought.
Right, so I was talking about map.ginger.
It actually leads into that as well as a whole discussion. But I'm saying is it was looking at this and thinking this needs to be in Python, and then going forward.
I think my idea behind that is you should maybe look at IDEM.
Okay, I haven't looked at that at all. What does that do?
Neither have I in terms of actually doing anything with it. But, the whole idea about IDEM is to make writing idempotent things easier.
Right.
And SSF formula really is, I think we had this conversation briefly. SSF really is about idempotency. We want the formulas to look in a particular way and then apply the changes required to make them look a particular way. I mean, which is basically idempotency. So
yeah.
Not to mention just the stuff about having like a repo on the disk, the right branch checked out. They're all states, different types of states.
Yeah. The documentation here is it's not very detailed, unless I'm missing the main bulk of it somewhere. Have I missed something? Because I can't seem to find like a big discussion about it or anything. I mean, this is the main bit.
No, well, I don't think it's that well developed, to be honest. I mean, there's
not developed.
It's based on POP. And
right.
POP has a book about it itself.
Right.
Yeah, the documentation needs some love for sure. And it is in kind of early stages. A lot of the developments coming from Tyler. And I've actually been helping look at what are the development tools that can maybe help people who are looking at wanting to create new item plugins.
So what's it? What's the purpose of item? What's it to do? To solve what problem?
So with item, the difference is that instead of it being, it's been developed in a new way that's based off of POP, that plugin-oriented programming.
Yep.
And POP's implementation versus, because a lot of the problems, I guess, that Tom had run into with or learned from Salt, and the ability to maybe just have everything by default as a plugin would be, and so item was that a version of POP's implementation to say, how can we use Salt, something pretty much like Salt states with POP, because POP by default doesn't have like
the state side of thing.
Yeah, the state side of stuff. And so items like, okay, here's the execution modules and state modules. And it makes it very, very small, so that if you're like, okay, I'm just targeting one thing. Let's say I'm just looking at wanting to work with, I don't know, VirtualBox, or to work with some other target, then you could have a plugin that's an all-in-one, or even one that takes a few different plugins for maybe different types of services. And then that is all that is within it. And you interact with it all through item, similar to how you may be used to running a Salt command. But there's no minions, there's no master. It's just like a CLI kind of tool that can then apply states or run an ad hoc.
So it'd run locally on the machine you're already on.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So
but as far as I know, you can actually incorporate item into Salt.
Yeah. So Tyler did make some
form of connector.
Yeah, he did make in Salt. There's now a module. I think there's a state and an execution module for working with item plugins.
Okay. Docs. So what have I done here? So let's look for item. Yeah, there's the module, the execution module and the state module.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now these two, I don't know how extensively tested that Tyler has worked with these, and I don't think that they're too well, I don't think they're well documented, because if you look at this page, you just see here are the options. And it doesn't say whether, okay, make sure you have the item plugin actually brought down locally to the target minion that it's executing call on, and that kind of thing. So if you do end up looking into that, I would say please reach out to Tyler.
Yeah.
And any feedback you get from that too, that's kind of like, oh man, this kind of thing needs to be in the docs. Either open issues and Salt about, hey, that this piece needs to be documented better inside of Salt on how to use item.
Is there a Slack channel for item?
There is. Okay,
I've missed that.
Well, it might just be there. I know there's item cloud. And oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Dave. Can I interject something here?
Yeah.
So I think the actual larger problem here with the too much Jinja isn't necessarily solved by item, because item is essentially going to be using what are execution modules and states to do SLS files with tons of Jinja. It becomes too complicated. So while I do think item is very cool, but I don't think it's really going to solve this issue. So when you're getting to a very complicated template like you are in that project, there's two things you can look at there. One is to look at the Python renderer.
Yeah.
But also another option, which I think you can do right now without having to get involved with item, because really you do the same thing with item, is move a lot of that logic to a custom, your own, execution module and state module.
And that's why I was suggesting Python Salt extensions. That's where Salt extensions would fit in, wouldn't it?
No, not really. Salt extensions just packing up that would be cool, But that's basically just making so you can package up the whole repo and make it pip installable. So that will help you in deployment, but it will not really help you with your templating your state files. And so that's what I think the first thing you ought to look at is just moving some of that logic into a custom execution module and then possibly custom state module. And then you can have all the logic in Python there, and then in your YAML files, just intersperse some simple, if we can keep Jinja to a minimum, injecting values, handling a few loops, a few things like that. I found that to be the most effective. And going to item, you would be doing the exact same thing. There's really nothing magic about item as far as the state. You still have your SLS files, you still have execution modules and state files. It's just how item is managing, the state system. So again, I would look at an execution module first.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that if you went to item, you would just then run into the same problem with your
problems
state
as well.
implementations. Yeah, because they, even though they use a renderer, they import their renderers differently. They would run the same way and you run into the same problem.
Right. So the real original question was, where is this Python renderer really used? I mean, the custom execution module sounds like the right answer, but I'm just wondering, where was this ever used, or has it not really taken off? The Python renderer, that is.
So we defaulted to the Jinja renderer because it's the simplest. Honestly, I feel like if you're getting that complicated in your templates, then it's time to move that module into your execution modules, or that logic there. Sure. It's kind of like, if you're doing PHP back in the early 90s, where you're jumping in and out of HTML and PHP. It's basically the same concept with Jinja, right? If you're doing too much of that, then you need to move that into a Python to an execution module.
Got ya. Yeah.
At least that's where I've had the most success. So that I can I like keeping my YAML very clean, the minimal Jinja.
Definitely.
Logic.
Definitely. It just grew. I mean, the history of this was, it was actually quite simple at first. The history was just to manage all of our start stack formulas with simple templates that are used across all formulas. And it's done its job really, really well. But it's just grown to this mammoth Jinja beast, and it needs to be dealt with. And the simplest option seemed to be the Python renderer. But like you said, the custom execution module is probably the way to go. So that's something we can, or I'll look at over time, hopefully. But that's good feedback. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I think we've run out of time. So thanks everyone for the feedback and the help. And we'll catch up in 2 weeks' time, I think.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dave.
Cheers. Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.